Alrighty, I am here with my good friend, fellow Cardano founder, Conrad. How's it going, man?
Good, good. It's good to see you again. Always a pleasure to talk to you, Logan.
Yeah, so we got some good ones that I want to pick your brain on today in terms of questions. And I always like to start, you know, by just tell me your story of how you got into Ada Handle, how'd you find Cardano, why Cardano, all of that good stuff.
Absolutely. When I was years ago, I was starting to do some research on blockchains. I got curious, right? Everyone was talking about it, and I come from the infosec background, meaning I back for a long time, 12, 13, 15 years, I was supporting companies on the infosec side, like building servers and whatnots. And I figured blockchain was something that I could use my skills towards. And in all of my research, I came across Cardano, and uh, I started poking around, seeing what's up. I spun up the Blade stake pool, and that was basically my welcome card to Cardano, right? And as Blade started getting momentum, more delegators, more stake, I started talking to this guy called Calvin, who had an idea of how to create a naming service using NFTs. And we started talking about it. We started building it. At first we thought it was going to be a 2-3 week project, and 3 weeks went by, and we're like, damn, like this is not cutting it. And we then reached out to Goose, and it was like, hey man, why don't you? This is the idea we have. Come join us. What do you think? And he became part of it as well with us, building this from the ground up. And after a few months, we had a prototype ready, and that's basically the initial story of Ada Handle. Just lots of sleepless nights trying to figure out what to do. And remember, this is back when Cardano didn't even have smart contracts, so this was all just figuring out how to do XYZ. So it was a very fun journey back then.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know every kind of founder has their origin story. I remember when me and Justin we always were talked like about business ideas growing up, and then one day, we had a kind of a realization that we wanted to build in the blockchain space. I know that Project Catalyst is something we heard about. We threw our hat in the ring after a few failures. We got some funding, and that was kind of our welcome card to Cardano. And we love the chain because it's kind of that decentralized new type of database that's truly decentralized, and it's built on top of secure infrastructure that you can trust. I always like to give the analogy of, if you're flying over to across an ocean, do you want to choose the one that's faster and might crash, or a little slower and will definitely get you there safe? And that's what I think you need in kind of this infrastructure that's supposed to power a global economy. You need it to be reliable. So
couldn't agree more.
yeah, so dive deeper into Ada Handle for me. What do you guys do? What's in store for you guys?
Well, Ada Handle began as a simple naming service to solve the inconvenience of remembering a long cryptographic address in order to transact value on Cardano. In its evolution, handles became a marker of one's on-chain identity across decentralized applications. Seeing your handle as you make a token swap, or on Sunday swap or mint swap, then seeing that same handle as you fund a borrower's loan on Liquid, or provide liquidity on Indigo, or simply send your NFT to a friend on Eternal or Lace or your favorite wallet. So essentially, Ada Handle is an NFT that sits in your wallet that allows for user-friendly to send and receive funds instead of you having to type that long address with numbers and characters that no one can remember. Instead, you can just send it to $Conrad or $Logan. It just makes it easy and friendly.
Yeah, definitely. My Ada Handle that I use for my identity is DAO Guy.
That's a great one.
That is a good one. Yeah, I know that Ada Handle for me is like something that makes it really more fun for the user, because like if I want to send my brother some Ada or whatever, I can just type in, $, whatever his handle is, instead of, being like, yo, send me your address, because it's not like I'm going to remember that. I might remember the last 4 digits of it or whatever, but yeah, it definitely solves the problem. So what about kind of like the next steps? You guys are doing this on Cardano. You guys have a lot of different kind of features involving D-reps coming out. You guys are even looking at Bitcoin stuff. Like, tell me about like that cool stuff that's going on.
So, well, we've done a lot of protocol changes throughout the last few years since we first launched. The first big change we did was the way these handles are minted. Back when we first launched, handles were minted on what's called Cardano Improvement Proposal, aka SIP 25, wherein it was just a static image. You couldn't do much with it other than have your $ name on it. We introduced the ideas of SIP 68 handles, which was done a couple of years ago, wherein this allows you to personalize your handle with a custom background image, a profile picture, change the background color of your handle, add border colors to it, add social media information, create a portal page, and much more. With that, opened the ideas and the solutions that we created with subhandles. So following similar solution to subdomains, right, where you can have a subdomain to your main domain, you can have, if you use the handle Conrad, you could have Logan at Conrad or DAO guy at Conrad, and so forth, making it easier for you to label your wallets or to send salaries or payments to team members, or even to gate access to a specific DApp or project by only allowing access with a subhandle of that DApp or project. That was a big upgrade for us as well. Things that we have in the pipeline right now are Handle Chat, which will be a decentralized communications layer leveraging on handles, using handle nodes, which handle node operators will secure the protocol, similar in a way on how stake pool operators secure Cardano today. It will follow a similar idea. Additionally, we are also working on Handle Pay, which will be a very user-friendly way for you to send, receive, and request payments, as well as having Handle Chat integrated into it, and in-house trading, and on and off ramps, fiat on and off ramps. Just, it will be a one-stop shop for Cardano users to do whatever it is they want to. And additionally, not to keep just fluffing this up
No,
with
keep
more
going.
subjects,
Keep going.
we are also working on Bitcoin integration, as we realize that there's not going to be one true winner when you're talking about blockchains, right? There's always going to be use cases for you to use blockchain X, Y, Z. Some blockchains do things that other blockchains don't do as well. So the synergy of blockchains is what we envision will be the future. And you can see that happening already across different apps. So the first blockchain that we are going to start supporting in the near future will be Bitcoin, and more to come about it soon.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think just the inherent compatibility with the UTXO ledgers, it seems like something that every Cardano project should do, is make sure that you're compatible with Bitcoin, because that could be very good for the ecosystem. And look, whether Bitcoin maxis want to admit it or not, you can do a lot more on Cardano than you can on Bitcoin. So it's going to be really cool to see how that unfolds. So taking a step back, talking less about handle and that type of thing, let's talk more about Cardano at a higher level. So right now, Cardano is transitioning to decentralized governance. And I think this is a historic thing, really. It's never been done in the space or in human existence at all, to have kind of a decentralized treasury that's owned by the community around it. So one, what excites you about it? Two, what concerns you about it? And, how are you seeing this play out in your head?
Yeah, I mean, we've been here since long before the Shelley era. So we've got to see the comeuppance of Cardano. Its community, its benefactors. Watching and participating in the maturity of the ecosystem has been a privilege. And the transition to full decentralized governance has been, well, I mean, you can say rocky, right? But in the history of the world, every time you introduce politics into something, whether it's in the form of governance, for example, it's never a smooth sail. It has never been. And why would Cardano be any different, right? You can see, you could tell, like, all the issues when the Cardano Constitution was coming up. People were yelling left and right on social media, no, this is terrible, no, this is good. There's a saying in Brazil, where I'm from, where we say, you're never going to be able to please both people from Troy and people from Greece, right? There's always going to be conflict. And that's just the nature of the beast. We are, what, a few months into governance, and is it perfect? No. Will it ever be perfect? Probably not. But at least every single person in the Cardano community has a voice. It doesn't matter how big or small, they do have a voice. You still rely on the politicians, which are the D-reps, right? But nothing stops you from becoming your own D-rep. Nothing stops you from marketing yourself and gaining attraction and saying, listen, I'm going to do my D-rep votes because I like this and this and that. Vote for me or delegate to me. And you can change it with your own hands. And I think that's the beauty of it. In current politics, it's kind of hard to do that, right? You have to know someone, and then you have to talk to someone to be able to join a party or whatnot, or start at the town level. It's a problem. Now you can participate in Cardano governance from your own laptop or your phone. It's a beauty.
Yeah, and you know, talking about kind of the evolution of politics here is anyone, I guess, can become a politician, become a D-rep, right? But the cool thing is the liquid democracy part, in my opinion. You know, you're not, you know, casting your vote to someone and say they're in for 4 years and you're like, oh, this is not going well 2 years in. You can just pull your influence from them instead of having to kind of blindly trust their campaign promises. You get to see how they act. So that's really cool. I think one of the biggest things about this decentralized governance transition is the decentralization of the treasury and coming to a budget. And I think that's a good segue into kind of our next topic, which is the Cardano Builder DAO. So I'll preface this question with kind of a high level image of the Cardano funding funnel. So, you know, at the top, I think you have kind of Project Catalyst, where this is like ideas go into the funnel. They're different things. It could be for community events. It could be for new like MVP projects, whatever it is. They go into this funnel. Catalyst funds the innovation, and then you see what kind of happens next. After that, you kind of have where the ideas are getting narrowed down, and it's the middle part of the funnel. And this is for, I would say, projects like Clarity and Ada Handle and Iogon and Vesper and Tokyo and you name it. These are the apps that users come to on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, to come transact on the blockchain. So you kind of have that service layer. And then you have the bottom rung, which is, you know, that core infrastructure stuff, whether it's Leos, Paras, you know, all these different node things, the security of the layer one. So I kind of feel like you have these three different levels. And part of the reason that I bring this up is because I think Cardano Builder DAO really fits well into that type of system. So from you, kind of, how did you learn about Cardano Builder DAO? Like, be open and transparent about how you learned about it, what you think about it, and how does it kind of fit into the broader funding landscape of Cardano?
Yeah, I mean, you and I have known each other virtually, at least, for quite some time. We've met in person a couple of times, or maybe just the once. And you brought this idea up to me, and basically, this was around the same time that CDEC was coming out, and you're like, hey, I have this idea of creating a Cardano Builder DAO to seek treasury funding. And as you were explaining the ideas to me, I was sold within 2 minutes of it. I was like, this is beautiful, because Ada Handle has used Catalyst quite a few times, and we are thankful for it. But we just believe that the Cardano Builder DAO offers this amazing way to seek treasury funding with, I guess, minimal bureaucracy is the word. Maybe there's something better to say, but I just appreciate the way that how all these different builders from these established projects are getting together to seek funding from the treasury. I think it's brilliant, and I can't wait to see this develop more.
Yeah, me too. I think the few things that are worth pointing out with the Cardano Builder DAO is how it interfaces with the existing funding mechanisms. So as a Cardano Builder member, if you want to request funds from the treasury, you have to have gone through the rigor that Project Catalyst does put projects through. So you have to get community support, you have to deliver on your milestones. And then in order to request funding, you got to say, hey, we closed out a Project Catalyst proposal. we have a working product that's serving relevant KPIs, and then you're able to come into kind of this next phase of funding. And the goal of Cardano Builder DAO is to say, hey, there's all these projects that are onto something. Let's pour gas on the fire and see which one explodes. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if the Cardano blockchain does not have enough transactions happening on it, does not have enough users, does not have enough applications where people are actually interacting on chain, it's not going to be a sustainable system. So it's meant to help grow these seeds that have been planted and are already well along their way of growing with solid KPIs. So
that's exactly it.
That's about all I had for you today. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. I am extremely excited. It's an honor to be at least a part of the Cardano Builder DAO. You can check all these different projects that are part of it. These are all just foundational projects of this ecosystem, between Clarity, between Endmaker, Tap Tools, Dex Hunter, you name it. These are all projects that are used on a daily basis. Yes, like you mentioned, Cardano does have a problem right now with user base, but we know the avenues we have to take to get this to the next level. There are many different ones. One that comes to mind right now is, in fact, Cardano might become the main DeFi layer of Bitcoin. And then imagine once this switch clicks for Bitcoin users, that they can keep their Bitcoin and they can natively transact within Cardano applications. I mean, it's why not? Why wouldn't you do that? Why would you use a bridge to some other ecosystem, and then now you're trusting this bridge? Now, if you can do this natively, why not? So yeah, I think it's extremely important that these projects get the necessary funding, because servers, developers, they're not cheap, and this funding would go a long way to make sure that we keep this foundation ready, so when the surge comes, we are all ready to
Absolutely.
meet the demands.
Absolutely. We're all seeing a decentralized future. So appreciate your time today. I'll see you guys next time.